My coffee is going cold on the counter. I keep meaning to drink it. I never do. The kettle clicks off behind me and everything goes white. Not bright white, cold white. My knees hit stone before my eyes catch up, and the stone is wet, and the air smells like wood smoke and wet rock and something metallic underneath it, like a mouthful of pennies. I'm not standing in my kitchen anymore. I'm on my knees in a tunnel, low ceiling. Black walls, streaked orange in places, lit by a fire pit no bigger than a dinner plate. My hands are freezing, my clothes are gone, someone's dressed me in a rough tunic that scratches at my collarbone, and there's a leather strap crossing my chest that I don't remember tying. Somebody yells something at me. I don't understand a word of it. I turn around and there's a man crouched behind me. Maybe 40, face streaked black with soot, holding out a stone hammer like he expects me to take it and know exactly what to do with it. He says the word again, slower this time, like I'm slow, which right now I am. I take the hammer. It's heavier than it looks. He points at the wall. There's a vein of green-black rock running through the stone at chest height. And I understand somehow in the way your body understands things faster than your brain can catch up, that this is what we're here for. Copper ore, this is a mine, and I'm apparently a miner in it. I hit the wall wrong angle. The hammer bounces off and nearly takes my thumb with it. The man laughs, not cruel, just tired, and repositions my hands on the haft, angles my swing, taps the exact spot on the rock where the vein is thinnest. I try again. This time a piece the size of a fist comes loose and clatters to the tunnel floor. He grunts. Approval, I think. First win. We work like that for what feels like hours, chipping ore loose by firelight, and somewhere in the rhythm of it, I start noticing things I wasn't looking for. There's a second man further down the tunnel, hauling loaded baskets on his back toward the entrance, bent almost double under the weight, using a leather strap across his forehead to take some of the load off his spine. Every basket that leaves gets replaced by an empty one, passed hand to hand down the line. Nobody's told me this is how it works. I'm just watching it happen and slotting myself into the gaps. My back is screaming by the time we climb out. Outside, the light nearly blinds me. It's not dawn. It's just that after hours underground, any daylight feels like a spotlight. And I finally see the whole picture. A scatter of low wooden huts built against the mountainside, smoke rising from 3 or 4 of them, animal hides staked out to dry on wooden frames, and past that, a slope of green pasture where a handful of goats are picking through scrub grass under the watch of a kid who can't be older than 10. Someone's cooking. My stomach makes the decision for me before my brain does. I walk toward the smell. A woman crouched by the fire hands me a flat piece of bread, dense and slightly burnt on one side, and a wooden bowl of something that turns out to be goat's milk curdled into a soft cheese. I eat with my hands because there's nothing else to eat with. It's the best thing I've ever tasted, which is either the cheese or 12 hours of manual labor talking. While I eat, I watch the ore get processed. 2 men are feeding the day's chunks of rock into a small stone-lined pit packed with charcoal, and a third is working a set of bellows made from what looks like stitched animal skin, pumping air into the base of the fire until it roars hot enough to glow. I don't know the chemistry. I don't need to. I just know that rock goes in one end. And hours later, something that looks like liquid metal comes out the other, poured into a shaped mold, and left cool into a solid axe head shape. That's when the trouble starts. I get curious. I reach toward the mold before it's cooled enough just to see it up close, and someone grabs my wrist hard enough to bruise before I get within a foot of it. The man from the tunnel, my hammer teacher, I've started thinking of him that way, is suddenly right in my face, saying something sharp and fast, pointing at my hand, then at the mold, then miming a burn with an exaggerated flinch. I get the message. I back off, hands up, and he softens almost instantly, like the anger was never really about me. It was about the metal, which represents days of labor and fuel and ore that one careless hand could ruin. That's the moment it actually lands for me. This isn't a hobby. This copper is currency. It's traded down the mountain for salt, for cloth, for flint tools from people who don't have access to ore like this. Every finished axe head is somebody's winter food. I get proof of that an hour later, when 3 strangers walk into camp from a trail I hadn't noticed, leading a pack animal loaded with woven sacks. Everyone stops what they're doing, not in alarm, in the specific, practiced way people move when a routine is starting. My hammer teacher goes to meet them, and the two groups sit down together near the fire pit and start laying things out on a hide spread on the ground, a stack of finished axe heads on one side, and from the stranger's sacks, blocks of pale gray salt, coils of woven cloth, and a bundle of long, dark flint blades I've never seen a version of back home. Nobody's writing anything down. There's a lot of pointing, some back and forth I can't follow. One moment where a woman picks up an axe head, turns it over twice, and says something that makes my hammer teacher's whole posture change, like she's found a flaw. He answers back sharper than I've heard him say anything all day. It goes on a while. Eventually, hands get clasped, goods get divided, and the strangers leave with half our axe heads, and we're left with salt, cloth, and flint. Nobody looks upset. It's just how the mountain gets fed on things it can't grow up here. I try to make myself useful instead. I watch the bellows man's rhythm, steady, unhurried, more about consistency than force. And when he stops to drink, I step in and take over without being asked. My arms burn within a minute, but I keep the rhythm steady, and the fire holds its color. And when he comes back, he watches me for a second, surprised, then nods and leaves me to it a while longer. Small thing, but it's the first thing all day I've done right without someone correcting me first. Before that, though, there's still work. One of the women who came back with roots and greens waves me over to a low stone structure built into the shaded side of the hill, half dug into the earth and covered with a woven mat. Inside, it's noticeably colder than the air outside. I can feel it before I understand why. She's storing hard cheese wheels in there and strips of meat that have been salted and hung to dry, and I realize the whole structure is doing with rock and shade what my refrigerator does with electricity. She hands me a basket of the fresh greens to add to the stock and mimes packing them tight, no gaps, no air. I do my best. She fixes it anyway. Wordlessly, the way you'd nudge a kid's clumsy first attempt at folding laundry, as the light starts dropping, the whole camp shifts. People start filing in from different directions. The goat-herding kid coming down the slope, two women coming back with baskets of gathered greens and roots, someone carrying a bundle of firewood nearly as tall as they are. Nobody announces the day is ending. The mountain just gets colder and the shadows just get longer, and everyone reads it the same way, the way you'd check a clock without looking at one. Around the fire that night, someone starts telling a story. I can't understand the words, but I understand the shape of it, the rise and fall of the voice, the pause before a punchline, the way the kids lean in and the adults roll their eyes like they've heard this one before. Someone laughs so hard they nearly fall backward off their log. It's not that different from any dinner table I've ever sat at. My hammer teacher sits down next to me and hands me a second piece of bread I didn't ask for. He doesn't say anything. He just nods toward the fire, toward the story, toward the whole strange scene, like he's saying, "This is it. This is the whole thing. This is what we're doing here." I don't understand a single word anyone has said to me all day, and somehow I understand exactly what he means. The fire is warm, my hands are raw, and my back aches in a way I've never felt in my life. And for the first time since I hit my knees in that tunnel, I'm not thinking about how to get home. I'm just watching a piece of copper axe head cool by firelight, thinking about how many hands it took to make it and how far it might travel from this mountain long after I'm gone. My coffee's probably still on the counter, still cold. I don't miss it as much as